Hello, welcome back to a new episode of Canto Be Like, a Cantonese and English bilingual podcast helping you to learn Cantonese and Hong Kong culture. I'm your host, Venus, and today is our 8th episode of Season 1 of Canto Be Like. In this episode, we are going to start our third topic of the season, which is eating out in Hong Kong. Today is going to be our chit-chat session in English to get you up to speed with eating out in Hong Kong and what our culinary scene offers. The second episode is, as always, going to be a listening exercise, and the third episode is going to be a phrase and vocab episode. And by the way, the listening will be fully in Cantonese, and the phrase and vocab episode will be a mix of English and Cantonese. Make sure you follow and subscribe to Canto Be Like so that you know when we update the next 2 episodes of this mini-series of eating out in Hong Kong. For those of you that are new to the show, in this season, we have already done 2 other topics. The first one was grocery shopping in Hong Kong, and the second was getting around in Hong Kong. So be sure to check them out after you finish this episode. And without further ado, let's start with our topic today, eating out in Hong Kong. So for a lot of people, the most iconic Hong Kong food is probably dim sum, which is like a shared dish of like, some of my friends call it mini tapas. Like a collection of mini dishes to share with your dining companions. And it's usually in a very traditional Chinese restaurant. So dim sum. And those dim sum restaurants, we call it cha lao in Cantonese. And the second iconic Cantonese restaurant is chaan teng. So the tea houses, tea restaurants, a bit like diner or pubs if you're from the UK. So they are go-to eateries, and it's very delicious, very cheap, very wholesome, and we go there on a daily basis. And the third iconic restaurant, in my opinion, would be Dai Pai Dong. So these are the less known type of restaurants, Cantonese restaurants. And Dai Pai Dong is more of like a gangster, more rough, and more like a street food kind of situation. And we will talk a bit more about that later. And Hong Kong is such a food paradise. If you're bored of local Cantonese food, you can always find something that fit your taste bud. And we are so close to a lot of countries with good food. For example, within my living radius, within maybe a kilometer from my house, there are Thai food, Vietnamese food, Japanese food, Korean food, and of course a lot of Western restaurants, all within 10 minutes walking distance from my house. So it's a true global culinary scene, and I don't even live on Hong Kong Island, so you can imagine the food scene is gonna be even more dynamic and diverse there. And since our podcast is also in English, I assume a lot of you are from Western countries. Hong Kong also offers a lot of good Western food. You can always find something relatively authentic to your local version of the cuisine. And it's the easiest to find them on the Hong Kong Island, like Soho. And I personally know from Kennedy Town and Sai Ying Pun, there are also a lot of authentic Western cuisine. And I will add on a little bit about Soho. So actually, me and my friends go there on a weekly basis. I usually go there for like a Friday night dinner or like on the weekend for brunch with my friends. Sometimes even grabbing a drink at the cocktail bars or speakeasies. And yeah, I will give some recommendation if that interests you. So, Soho recommendation. If you want pizza, I would say Finny is a good option, but they do like American style pizza instead of your traditional Italian sourdough kind of situation. So beware of that. And I personally really love French cuisine, and I found Bouchon on Elgin Street, which I think is quite good. Especially the bread, like, is very soft. Reminds me of like Parisian bistro. But though, to be completely fair, the quality of Bouchon is just a regular bistro you find in Paris. It's not like exceptional, but for Hong Kong, it's still very good. And there are quite a few good restaurants in or near PMQ, which is like a indie artsy area, like a district, which is very touristy and easy to access from Central. And yeah, for drinking, which I don't do anymore, but back when I was still a social drinker, I would go to the Old Man quite often. I love their mixology, it's really creative, and the staff are really friendly, and like they do recommend really they do give really precise recommendation on cocktail according to your taste, which I found is super nice. So I've been there with my cousin from New York and a couple of friends from Europe, so they all gave positive reviews for the Old Man. And another cocktail bar or speakeasy I go to quite often is, I actually forgot the name, but it's in Taigun. So it's actually hidden in Block D or Block F, I can't remember, but you can give it a Google. It's quite famous, and the atmosphere, the ambience is just amazing. And since it's a speakeasy, fewer people know of it, so you have more space to yourself. And unlike the Old Man, which always has a massive queue and sometimes you have to stand, this speakeasy in Taigun is just quite cozy, and you can stay there for quite a while to enjoy your drink and your chat with your friend without worrying that you are stopping someone from getting in. So that's Soho from me, and I'm sure you will find something that fits your taste. But since this podcast is about local Hong Kong culture, I will leave you to Google and explore. And let's zoom in on more local food and restaurants. So, alright, let's focus on local Cantonese restaurants. And I picked the three main ones, which are Ta Lao, usually usually for dim sum, and sometimes they do serve more traditional feasts and like formal gathering kind of Chinese dishes. And the second choice of Cantonese restaurants is Dai Pai Dong. And the third and most common one is Tengs. So, right, let's start with Dai Pai Dong, which I think is the least common or least heard of in the overseas Chinese diaspora or for foreigners. And even some local kids might not have been there because they're becoming rarer and rarer nowadays in Hong Kong. So, what is Dai Pai Dong? The literal translation is big licensed store, and that's because it's a derivation of the government-issued large permits in the 1950s. So it's just a historical thing and it's stuck. And it's also quite literal, like Dai is, so Dai Pai Dong, 3 characters, and Dai is big, Pai is like a store, and Dong is also like a store for like a street cart kind of situation. Like for a store in the wet market, we call it a dong as well. So it's just a big store selling food. And you can think of it as like chaotic family kitchen that sell street food with like flimsy table and like kind of like out in the element and sometimes even no air conditioning, so very raw, very OG kind of a vibe. So if you ever been to Chinatown, it's probably the dodgiest looking spot there, but with like Michelin level cooking skills and super high cost to value ratio, and sometimes maybe a lot of cockroaches kind of thing. So maybe because of the hygiene and the presence of cockroaches, and even sometimes you see rats there. I'm not even joking, because it's just how bad the hygiene is. Some people just don't prefer them, and they don't bring kids there because of some worries about cleanliness. But a lot of people still love them because the food there is just so economical, cheap, and just amazing. And there's a Hong Kong word for it, which is wok hei, which means how should I put this? The vibe of the wok, literally. So it's like wok hei is like, it's so fiery, it's so crispy, it's so the cooking skill is just so on point kind of meaning. And a lot of people just love it for the taste and the price. So there's definitely like a market for that. Also, a lot of uni students love to go there because they have big tables catered to host a big crowd, and the price is very cheap, and they open till late with a constant supply of cheap beer. And it's just like a clubbing, like a post-clubbing meal and post-night out meal. Like you need something cheap, something greasy to absorb the alcohol, and you go there and chill with your friends till sunrise. So a funny personal story, of my mom. So when she was in uni, she would go to Dai Pai Dong with her batchmate, and they would get pissed drunk there, and she would throw up under the tree outside the Dai Pai Dong, and the tree actually died. Like I think my mom killed the tree. Yeah, the tree died. So that's a funny story. So back to Dai Pai Dong itself. Let me give you some recs for what to order for the first time and how to pronounce them. So the first one would be Gan Chao Ngao Ho, which is beef fried rice noodle. So the ultimate wok hei test. So to test if a Dai Pai Dong is good, if it has enough wok hei, just order Gan Chao Ho and you will know. And the second dish is xi jiu xin yao. So salt and pepper squid, crispy and spicy, and usually comes with a dipping vinegar. So it's really a good side dish with alcohol and beer. And the third one, which is my personal favorite, is hou zai jin bang. So an oyster omelette is so good. The balance between the egg and the seafood and the umami is just so on point. So these are my recs, so try them out. Let me walk you through a meal from door to payment to bill, what is going to happen at Dai Pai Dong. So at the entrance, you greet a staff. There's usually someone standing at the entrance. So you just tell them the number of people dining, and they will seat you at a table, and then they might give you one-time disposable chopsticks. So the authentic thing to do is to rub the chopstick together to remove splinters. So it's just something we do. And then you wash your cups and bowls and all the utensil with a communal bowl and the tea and water on the table. So you wash it, and then you can, depending on where the Dai Pai Dong is, if it's just next to the road and it's kind of out in the open, you just pour the water onto the ground. Yes, you can literally do that. And you can try what I told you just now. So order Gan Chao Ho, xi jiu xin yao, and then Ho Bang. Or another thing you can do is just point at something and tell them, I want this, or you're legal, or I want that, or you go, and just order something. You can't really go wrong. And they won't ask you if you are allergic to something, or if you don't want something. You have to tell them. They don't expect service from them. It's it's an eatery. It's not a Michelin restaurants. Just don't expect anything. So the food will arrive roughly after 5 to 10 minutes. They're just so efficient, and just take your time to eat, to chill, and no time limit. But sometimes they might ask you to speed up if there's a queue waiting outside. Depends. So at just usual restaurant stuff, you eat your food, enjoy your company, etc, etc. But so after you finish, of course you pay. There are two ways to do this. Either you wave at a waiter and they will bring the bill over and you do it at the table, or you just go to the cashier and get your bill and pay. But do note that they mostly just take cash. At most they take octopus cards, and it's just really uncommon for them to accept credit cards. They might do electronic payment like WeChat Pay or Alipay, but credit card payment is really not a thing. So be sure you have the appropriate means of payment before you arrive, otherwise it's gonna be quite awkward. And so to which Dai Pai Dong to go, I actually go to one in Fo-Tan because it's the nearest in my house, and that's the one my parents brought me there when I was a kid. So I went to this one called Jun Jun in Fo-Tan. But I do know a lot of people go to Temple Street or somewhere on the island for Dai Pai Dong, but I'm not an expert in that. Just Google Dai Pai Dong and it will come up. So Dai Pai Dong is DAI and then space PAI space and then DONG, Dai Pai Dong. So something will come up, and yeah. So next off, we are going to talk about Yum Cha. And actually, Yum Cha is not the restaurant itself. The type of restaurant is called Cha Lao. So you Yum Cha at a Cha Lao. And Cha Lao, you can think of a very old school tea house, like round table, stained tablecloths, maybe an auntie pushing a cart around with dim sum on it, and yeah, so Cha Lao is just like a Chinese/Cantonese restaurant that does dim sum, specialize in dim sum, and the act of consuming dim sum and drinking tea is Yum Cha, which literally translates to drink tea. Yes. I think the atmosphere at Cha Lao is like very convivial, very familial, and like you go there with your relatives and family, and it's more like a family outing kind of thing. So it's like a grandma living room that serves 100 types of dumpling or tapas, if you like, and everyone just talks and drinks tea and gossip, and the price point is usually higher than Dai Pai Dong because of the environment of the restaurants is usually more delicate and established compared to like a street food restaurant like Dai Pai Dong. And actually, my family goes there almost every weekend for Saturday brunch with my grandma. And the dim sums we ordered are very fixed. Each family has their own set or combination of dim sum and choice of tea, just something they are used to. And for us, the tea is actually, we get two types. Most people get one, but we are very picky, I guess, so we have two. We pampered ourselves on Saturday morning, so we get pole, which is pu'er, and tikunyam, which is I think it's a white tea, so 铁观音 for the Mandarin speaker. And 铁观音 is for my mom and dad, and me and my grandma shares a pot of pole. And then my favorite is the shrimp dumpling ha gao. My dad is actually, he eats everything, but he loves congee, so for him is what's it called, 皮蛋瘦肉粥. So stinky egg, like the 1,000-year egg with like bits of meat in congee, that kind of congee, so 皮蛋瘦肉粥. And for my grandma is another type of dumpling called 潮州粉果. And for my mom, I think she loves 紅棗糕, which is red date cake. So on top of that, those are usually the fixture, like it appears every week. And then we will get 腸粉, So like actually don't know how to explain this in English. Like a rice roll with meat stuffing or seafood stuffing, and we might get aoyokao, so a beef ball, and also we might get char siu bao, so a pork bun, and something sweet. So that's our combination of dim sum. And yes, I am also going to walk you through some how the whole meal is gonna happen. So you arrive, you usually, in the old days, you just tell a staff, like a hostess, that you're there, and they will just arrange table for you. But now in the digital age, you get a ticket from the machine, and you just wait in the lobby to get your table. And when you were getting the ticket, it will ask you whether you want dap toy or dap toy. So dap toy is sharing table, dap is sharing, toy is table, and dap toy is no, so no sharing table, dap toy. So yeah, you need to decide about that in the beginning. Usually if you decide to share the table, it will be quicker. And if you only have one person or two people, they usually don't give you a whole table, which is for 4 people usually. So for 1 to 2 people, you just got a dap toy. But my family, usually we go as a party of 4, we get our own table. And once you're seated, a waiter will come and ask you what tea you want. So the usual option is, as I said, po lei, tikunyam, hang pian, sao mei, and what else? I think those are the normal ones. They don't do fancy tea. It's just those things. And I do know at some talo they allow you to bring your own tea, so you give them your own loose leaf tea, and they will brew it for you in the pot. And yeah, that's that. And then they will hand you with the dim sum ordering paper, like the list, and there are usually some discounted ones, so you can check that out first. So discounted dim sum, and another list for like the normal price one, which is the full menu, and a card to record if your dim sum arrived, so for easy payment at the cashier. So on the dim sum list, it's usually just in Cantonese, but they don't even have a picture, so that's quite difficult for non-Chinese people to figure out what to order. But if you do read Chinese, it just goes like this, or maybe you can Google translate it. So it goes like this. There's a box next to the name of the dish. You just do so if you want one of that, you put one and then draw a big circle around it, so the people will see you have chosen that. And then once you're finished with circling and writing and choosing, you wave or stand up, whatever, just do some big movement and get the attention of the waiter and hand them the list, like the paper. And then your dim sum will slowly arrive. And in some old talo, people will actually push around a dim sum cart, and then you just pick whatever is there. And that's becoming less and less common in Hong Kong. Usually you just order and they make it in the kitchen to avoid wastage, because if they do the cart thing, they might end up not selling everything. So they're slowly phasing that out. But that does happen at some traditional cha, and a lot of people do go there for nostalgia of the old days where the card thing was the norm. As to where to eat dim sum or like a good cha recommendation, I actually don't have a personal preference. I go to those chain cha with my parents and grandma. We just choose whatever is the most convenient, and the one we usually go is just right next door to our house, and it's nothing special, but it's good enough for us. But I do know Lin Hang Lao and Tim Ho Wan are supposed to be good and quite famous, so maybe you can give that a try. But if you ask me, just go to anyone. They are usually quite good, so no need to fret over which one to go. So the final Cantonese restaurant type of Cantonese restaurants is chaan tengs, which literally means tea restaurant, but is actually more like a diner or a pub that serves fast food, and you can think of it as 50-60 Hong Kong meets Western diner kind of thing, and is my dad's favorite. He actually goes to a chaan tengs to get breakfast every morning, and a full set is usually just $30 to $40 depending on which one you go to. So very cheap and wholesome and quick. It's like a survival food kind of restaurant. Like, go there for a quick meal, quick and easy, and just get it done and over with. And chaan tengs is your restaurant. So it usually opens at 6 a.m. I think, because when I was still in school, I would order a sandwich at a chaan tengs at 7:15, and the restaurant and the chaan tengs is like buzzing already with customers, so I assume they open quite early. The order gets processed very quickly. Usually your food arrives within 5 to 10 minutes. If it doesn't arrive after 15 minutes, like, do check with them. There must be something wrong with your order, because it shan't take that long. And I usually go to chaan tengs for breakfast with my dad. So my go-to is 沙爹牛肉米線 with iced lemon tea, less sugar, less ice. So I will say it like this. 唔該要個沙爹牛肉米線，凍檸茶少甜少冰, and that's my order. And 沙爹牛肉米線 is just a beef in satay sauce in a rice noodle, and it comes with an iced lemon tea, and usually people will give further order on the ice level and sugar level. And yeah, that's my order. And when I was still in school, I would go to a chaan tengs for afternoon tea, like a quick snack after school, and I would get a side dosi, which is like a deep fried French toast with 熱奶茶, so hot milk tea. And by the way they make milk tea is very creative. So to remove tea bits in the milk tea, they use lady stockings, like leggings, as like a sieve to remove the bits, the tea bits. So it's just I think they're very innovative, and that's the spirit of the Hong Kong people, I guess. So for chaan tengs, it's just a combination of Dai Pai Dong and Cha Lao in terms of how the whole thing works. So you go there, get seated, usually 7 to 90% of the time you share a table with someone because of the quick turnover of the restaurant. They can't avoid to waste seats to have empty seats, so they just squeeze everyone together, like to maximize profit, which is understandable because the price of the meal is so low, so they don't have a high profit margin. So that makes sense. I mean, at least it makes sense to me. And then they will just give you the menu, and they won't ask you to order just yet. They won't wait on you like a proper restaurant. You have to raise your hand and say 唔該寫嘢 to get their attention. And then they will come, and usually the order lasts for less than 30 seconds. You better make up your mind before you summon a waiter, otherwise they're gonna be like 有冇搞錯啊？你仲未諗好啊？ Like they're gonna be like rah, kinda. So yeah, they're gonna be enraged. So do make up your mind before you get someone to come, because no second chance, or you get a very pissed waiter. Then you order, the food arrive in 5 to 10 minutes. You eat it quite quickly, I guess. At least we do, because we know someone out there outside restaurants is waiting for the table. So you usually finish your meal in like 15 to 20 minutes. If your dish is empty, your cups is empty, a waiter will come and be like, oh, so you're finished, are you ready to get your bill? And then you go pay, and then they usually take cash and octopus. I know some do take credit cards, but you need to have a minimum spend of 100 or 200 depending on the Tang. So yeah, that's Tang for you. So I just realized I've been yapping too much, and I haven't even finished half of what I planned for this episode, and I don't want to make it too long for you, so I will leave the rest of the content to another episode. So I'm going to cover the general etiquette of dining in a local Cantonese restaurant and how to use a magic word, "mgai." So yeah, do stay tuned. I will be posting that shortly. So alright guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Canto Be Like, and be sure to subscribe to our show so that you don't miss a single episode on Cantonese and Hong Kong culture. And one housekeeping and one note I want to tell you guys is that I've added a little DM me for comment and feedback link in the show note or description. I don't know which one you called it, but yeah, in the description. So you can click that and it will prompt to your messenger app or a text app, and then you can just type in your message to me, and then I will get it. And your support and feedback on the show is so important to me, because I need to know if I'm making the right content for you guys, and I will adjust and adapt according to what you tell me. So yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, that's all from me today. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Take care. Bye.